Hello, everyone. This is yet another off-the-cuff video. This is going to pertain to some tools that I have. This is more of my home kit. I'm a professional locksmith, and I have a lot of stuff that I use on the daily. But for home and also at conventions, if you see me there, I'll often have this kit right here. This kind of has a little bit of everything that I might need at a table. So I'm going to kind of go through here. I'm going to explain what I have it for, its general use and capabilities, and then why I choose to carry it in the kit instead of somewhere else. So the first thing is these are all followers, every one of them. So, when I sell something, usually a lock or something similar, people want to disassemble it. I have these very inexpensive followers that people can use. They have a lip right in the back, so that way you can kind of tuck it all the way through. And since it's kind of resting back here, it won't push through and you won't lose any of your top pins. So, just like a generally nice tool to be able to use. I have an Almont padlock rekeying kit. So Almont padlocks were a really popular padlock many years ago because you could actually rekey them yourself if you had this kit. You would have to have a pin kit, etc. But you could take them apart and you could service them. You had to have this little shove knife, our particular plug holder, as well as this wire, which I forget the actual technical term for that. I saw it recently, but so this kit lets me service those kind of annotated padlocks, which are still in service. They're all over the place. I think this is little tiny springs, which are a very nice thing to be able to have. Oh, actually no, these are shim stock. Lots and lots of pre-curved shims. These are Major Manufacturing makes these ones, but they're pre-curved. They're very nice. And these kind of go along with another weird tool that I have. This is a shim holder. So I'll demonstrate its usage here. So these little shims, particularly the pre-curved ones, because they're much stronger than the emergency kind of detector things that you find as a tamper-resistant thing. You know the ones that are usually stuck in retail packaging. So you tuck this guy here, and then you just kind of wedge it in there, and then it friction holds. So it holds it, and you have a handle. Isn't that nice? So you don't cut your fingers. I don't use it much because it's yet another tool that you have to carry. But if I'm having a real dick of a time shimming a cylinder, most often with Primus. The tolerances are quite tight in Primus cylinders, so sometimes something like this is very good to have. It also means that once you shim it open, because picking them is quite difficult, you'll be able to recombinate the sidebar, which is a nice thing to do to be able to reuse a high security cylinder that would otherwise be, unusable. So if some of the handling is awkward seeming, it's because I'm reaching around the camera. So I have a on-brand smart key rekeying tool. I enjoy these because it's a nice handle. It's a little big, but it fits on the keys. I have a few things here. So the thing that I'm having difficulty getting out right now is actually a Schlage Everest 29 cutting shim. So when you put these in a duplicator, These ride in the undercut as well as that little hole that you'll see in the handle. And it makes it so you can cut them without them cocking sideways in the jaw. And then I also have some reassembly tools for some automotive locks that I use these for. So these are cut to all lowest value, so you can kind of just shove them back together and the wafers don't fall everywhere. And your traditional smart key rekeying tool, which very handy to have. But if you don't ever have one, you can always just use a broken pick, which is, I believe, what I used for a while. All right, and then just another cutting shim to go with this one, so that way you can put one in each key if you're duplicating Schlage Everest 29. I have an assortment of followers. This is a thread cap removal tool. I usually have a cylinder in here. So followers, these are my good followers, my non-giveaways. And then I've got a Master Lock follower. So Master has a line of rekeyable padlocks, and their cylinders have what's known as an index mark, where instead of a circlip or something that retains the plug inside of the cylinder shell, it's a crimp. And then this flat mark rides along in that crimp and makes it so you can actually rekey it without having to either bend that or come up with some other unique way to get things apart. Usually you can rekey through the bottom, as there's holes drilled through the shell into the Bible, and that's kind of how they got everything together. But if you can't or don't want to do that, or worry about your top pins becoming trapped, followers such as this is very good. This tool right here is a very nice, had a bug land on me, a thread cap pin depressor and also removal tool itself. So I'm going to get a cylinder to demonstrate that. It'll take a couple of seconds. All right, I'm back. I might jump cut around this. So this prong tool, rolled out of the way. Okay, so pin depresses right there. So, and then this flips the tailpiece. Now, what's the purpose to that, you might ask? Well, glad you asked. So this will flip the tailpiece. So you can actually push this all the way through the back of a lever in case you're having to do a back door, like you can't pick the Primus or what have you. You can flip the tailpiece to be able to poke the retainer of the actual lever itself. Get everything apart, take your crenellations here, put it in the back of the cylinder, and you just kind of unscrew this guy. And viola, look at that. Lab, the very famous pin kit company, makes one of these that I believe is infinitely superior to this, but it doesn't have a tailpiece flipper. So in this kit, this one stays, and then get everything put back together. Very good, very nice. This does the same thing, however, it's just far more worn out, used for different levers. Again, followers. So these are for automotive work. So these are drill guides for getting through ignition locks. Up in there I have the actual drill bits that are sized for this. And it's just basically an emergency ignition defeat kit in case I get a call. It doesn't warrant being carried because a lot of the newer ignitions don't use these. These are for, old Chevy, things of that nature. Then in here, I have various Chicago style screws and just bolts and nuts just for securing things together. Sometimes I'll drill through some flat lock picks and kind of screw them all together and hand them out to people. So in here, they kind of go in themes by pocket. So this is my impressioning kind of setup here. So this usually accompanies my actual Pelican case that has most of my other stuff. So this is my my spacing cylinder. So you can put hardened pins through here and you can mark up a key or whatever. This also serves as my cylinder rest. So when I clamp it down in my, it's actually a photography vise of some sort. It has a place to ride. So that's what that's for. So I have needle files. I believe these are just generally Nicholson. And then this is a tubular impressioning file. ProLock makes a tubular impressioning grip. I plan to make a video on that because it's something that I still do, and I believe it's kind of like one of the lost art forms. And I think it would be interesting to see that revived. More to be coming after that. So, and then this needle file is for things like if I'm gonna hand file a Y11 or whatever. So, just something to do. I have a jeweler's loop because I like to see marks. So as you can see, it's got a pretty good magnification. It's just another thing that I like to keep on handy in case I need to do some impressioning. These are the only handles that I use for files, and boy howdy, I sure wish I could remember what the hell I got these from. But they're not supposed to be handles. They're, I believe they're like some sort of stopper or valve. Valve part, excuse me. Another jeweler's loop, split lens. So it's just for a different sort of magnification. I usually have a little UV flashlight in here because I like to use it for when I'm impressioning brass. These are Imp Grip. These are particular impressioning pliers. So you can jaw in here, and it's got a very nice snub nose. So this is the only vice grips that I would ever use for impressioning. I despise the traditional method of using vice grips. I believe that they are bad. They have a bad center line. You have to modify them way too much. So I just get something that's already pre-modified. So, and then I've got a pin. So people like to, they're kind of curious as to what I use this for. So when I'm impressioning and I break the key and the key doesn't have or rather the lock doesn't have a tailpiece on it, I will use this to go through the keyway and push the key all the way through. And in the event that it does have a tailpiece, I can use this to press the retaining pin on the back of the thread cap, and I can unscrew the thread cap, get the tailpiece off, push it through. So this is just a quick tool that I've got ready to go. We've got various giveaway key rings here for looping together keys when I sell them. This is what I use to make it so nobody can ever duplicate my keys. It says do not, after all, and we're all honest. Everyone's honest. This is a Master Padlock Up Series rekeying tool. So the locks come keyed to nothing other than, actually nothing. No key can operate them. And then you put a pre-cut key in there. You set this over your cut key, and then you smash it with a hammer, and it will shear a bunch of, I guess, just highly serrated pins apart, and then it's keyed to that key. So they're very easy to pick, despite the serrations, and also they're garbage and they fail all the time. And I've had to deal with that throughout the years many times. So this is a follower that I am fond of, as well as our good friend in the community, Deviant Olem. These ball bearings are spring-loaded. Excuse me. These rest inside of a pin chamber. So I'll show you right here. So you can see the pinholes here. So these just rest in there. So it clicks into place. And look, the follower doesn't come out. And there's also, right down there, there's this shape. So this shape lets a spring just rest right in here. And you tuck it into the chamber, and then you drop a top pin there, and you tuck it in the chamber, and then you just click it forward into the next pin chamber, and all is well. It basically makes it more hands-free. I've got another do not duplicate stamp. So just some backup followers and some stamps for bitness. This is an Avis padlock shackle changeout tool. This just helps you change the shackle out. It turns the driver far enough to where the ball bearings pull out of the way. I've got a tubular lockpick that I've never seen anybody else have. This is convertible to all kinds of different functions. It's a wonderful tool. I did a whole write-up on Twitter about it. And I'm going to see if I can't find the remaining pictures and kind of repost the thread. This is one of my favorite tools, and this is the death of this tool is one of my biggest gripes with the locksmithing industry, because they let good tools die, and I believe that's a shame. I have another tubular lock pick. This is made by ProLock. This is just another one that I keep around for 7-pin. I like this one because it has this nice rubberized handle and the feelers are curved. It's very similar to A1s, but with a rubberized head. I actually kind of prefer A1s. I had a couple of them, and they a couple years ago, my rig got broken into, and a lot of my tools got stolen out of there. But that was one of the casualties of war, so to speak. And then I've got a tubular key decoder, so I can decode keys. I've got a little light box here for magnification, more impressioning stuff, really. It's in the drawer. And then this is a part for converting that other tubular pick into 10-pin. And they even did pin and pin and a bunch of other stuff. So I've got a long time to go to get the whole kit together, but it's a pipe dream of mine. Also, if you ever find any of the parts, reach out to me and I will do my damnedest to earn them off of you. So this is picks. I've got dimple picks, key extractors, just random picks. These are all stuff that I don't really want to fit into my kits, but that I feel like they have a home anyway. So turning tools. So this is the HPC's pocket pen pick set. So all the picks are stored in here, and they all double as pick gun tips, if you're so inclined to use them as such. I've had very minimal success with this thing. It's very large and clunky. Very expensive, might I add. Very expensive. Definitely not worth what they charge for it. Also, the screw to pull this turning tool out strips in a moment's notice and breaks because it's aluminum. So notice the two-tone. Very light, very dark. Not a good look HPC. Not a fan. Can't get rid of it though because I collect picks. So got lab picks. I've got a broken apart tool card. H&H, the brand of high quality. I don't really know that they know what high quality means because, as they say on the internet, this ain't it, chief. Got rekeying tweezers. These have a very nice slope at the end for grabbing pins and being rounded. I believe they're made by Lab. They are Lab. I have a pair of pinning tweezers in basically every kit. So I got foam handles for HPC picks, stuff for my jackknife, replacement picks, dimple picks for when I'm so inclined to pick dimple picks. And these are broken key extractors. A lot of people don't know this, but these are some of the most expensive, like really close to single-use tools that locksmiths use. I believe this costs, I don't know, $6 to $7, and it's just a piece of threaded wire, a little bit of red Loctite, and then they just crimp it in this little piece of aluminum. And then once this breaks or is too short to use, you throw it away. And it's a lot of aluminum to be wasting. There's various variations of that tool, including HPC's variant, which uses just a short sleeve of crimped brass. And I might just show that in another video. But so far, this video is running a bit long for something that I just keep around my desk. So I'm going to try to keep it to about half an hour. This is tools and backup sets to my HPC 1200 PCH or my Code Cut Punch. That's this side. Everything's kind of in there. I have several key machines. Those are just the ones that I keep at home because it lets me just punch out a key if I need to, and I don't need to go back to work. So these are all cylinder service holders. So this holds plugs. So they all kind of have their purpose. This is for Schlage Primus. So if you look down, I'm going to see if I can't get a good profile. The light is terrible. Apologize. So yeah, right there, you can see that channel. That's where the sidebar goes in. So you can test before you put it in the shell and risk having to shim it open like I demonstrated earlier. This will just allow you to test the sidebar for proper function. Make sure you don't need to replace any finger pins or anything of the like. And I believe it's a very important thing to test. So I always keep one of these and a small vise all ready to go when I'm doing Primus or Everest Primus work. So we got a little guy. So for things like American and anything that might use a smaller cylinder or plug diameter, I use this guy. So anything Olympus, Corbin cabinet lock, a lot of stuff like that, I test in here because there's a lot of depths and there's little keys and they really need to turn smoothly because people beat the hell out of cabinet locks and also their keys. So this is for, I'm going to say GM. So, oh yeah, because of the square sidebar. So this is for GM locks. They have a spring biased sidebar. So when the key is proper, the sidebar is spring loaded, biased in, it will drop in and allow you to turn. So this is just a notch. So you can slide it in before you actually have a proper key in and test it for function. So, and this is another Schlage Primus. I believe this is a branded Schlage Primus turner, and then I have a normal one for Kwikset, things like that. Sorry about that. This is just for normal plug diameters, so Kwikset, things of that nature. So Kwikset's hardly precise enough for me to warrant using that, but there we go. This I like very much. This is was my de facto pin tray. Excuse me a second. Till my good friend made me mine. That is pink. That has my name on it. That is 7 chambers, and I love him for this. Thank you very much, Matt. Also, quick shout out. Pen Testing Azure Apps is a book that he wrote, and he is a very good writer. Explains everything very well. So please check that out on Amazon. No Starch Press books. So this is a pin tray, and actually my favorite part, even though it's kind of a direct clone of A1's waffle tray, this is actually Sargent & Greenleaf, the safe lock company. This is very old because this is back when they were in Rochester, New York. I believe they moved out of there in the 70s. So far older than me even. So just a piece of kit there. And then this is the colloquially known pickle fork tool for Kwikset. So to get the knobs apart, there are two leaf springs in the back, and they go this way, and then this kind of presses them together and lets you push the cylinder out the front. So that's what that guy's for. It's in there with more followers, because you can't have too many followers, right? You know, it's just people following you around. And then this is just general tool stuff. So, but they're interesting tools, so they'll be shown. And I have my safe change keys. So this is my little pocket knife variant. This just help you change just about anything. You can get replacement tips. Put whatever you want in one of these. Doesn't matter. Then I've got all of the extras. I've got safe deposit box, force tools, and then vaults, and everything that wouldn't really fit on there kind of has a place in here. Inside of here, I have what are known as easy readers. These are for automotive work. And then what we have is a blank, but that has been specially milled. So you see that there's large channel gouged out of here. So what you do is you put this in a lock after you're lubricating it very well, and then the wafers will trap in here. And what you do is you take this feeler, you press it along inside, and you can see these etches right here. These will stop on the depth of the wafer. So when I'm feeling, and I feel it stop here, I go, okay, well that means it's a value 2, because up here is going to be a 1, and then it'll allow you to pull it back. So then 2, and then you do that for every wafer. You decode it without taking it out of the door, which is the very nice thing about automotive locks, because traditionally they're a giant pain to take out. So you decode it, and then you flip it, and you do the opposite side for an opposing wafer lock, and then you run back to your whatever, my Curtis clipper, whatever, something to originate a key. I usually originate, a few thousandths too tall to test for smashes and make sure that if I'm making a key to a worn out lock, it's still going to operate. This is a right-hand plug spinner. This is a right-hand plug spinner. Older generation looks good because I found this new in package at a supplier, and I had to have it because it's that good stuff. It's that stuff that I do like. So we have more tools for my duplicator. We have tap and die stuff for threading chambers and making them more pick resistant. This is another variant of the pickle fork, but this would stop on the back of the cylinder, and you would push the Kwikset cylinder out the front. I'll see if I can't get an actual video together about that. We've got bypass tools, pin vices. Something that I like very much, probably is way too much money these days, but this is an HPC micrometer with digital, or a analog but digit readout. So you can put it in your key right here, the flat right here on the bottom, and then you push the blade up against here, and it gives you your thousandths readout. So you can actually do a decode by value, and then you can kind of scale up from there. So if you're like 195 thousandths, you're like, oh, it's a number 7 Schlage. I'm spitting randomly off memory. I doubt that's correct. So we've got spanner tools, really, really big pinning tweezers, just kind of more miscellaneous stuff, Allen keys. And then I've got, these are just drivers. So, and then another micrometer. So this is just kind of my de facto go-to kit. Carry it around at conventions. It's got a little bit of something for everybody in case they need to borrow a tool or something similar. So that's just this kit. I have more right over here, and I'm hoping to do follow-up videos and explain my tool choices and the reasoning behind them. But anyway, Thanks for watching, and if you stuck through this long, I definitely applaud your stamina. So anyway, I'm Rubber Ben. Cheers.